Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at this session. You know, the world has known, literally since the 1600s, when Catherine of Braganza brought that tradition of afternoon tea, or tea at all, into the British Empire and the royal court. The world has known that there's a lot of peace and serenity that comes simply from this beautiful herb and its combination with water and the brew that results, good for mind, body, and spirit. And that's something that we need, particularly right now. But there is a way to double the deliciousness. And that's a journey that we set out on 10 years ago. So we're celebrating 10 years since the beginning of our revolution in high tea, the Dilmah Real High Tea Challenge. We went around the world. We started in Santiago, we went through Europe, we went through the Middle East, we went to Australia, to New Zealand, we went in so many countries in between. And what were we looking for? High tea or afternoon tea for the 21st century. Why? Because it's no longer about scones, no longer about cucumber sandwiches. That's good, but things have changed. Culinary styles have changed, ingredients, trends, and so on. So our Dilmah Real High Tea revolution was about sustainability. It was about respecting ingredients, local ingredients. It was about the personality of the people that were presenting, whether a chef or whether a front of house person, a hospitality professional, whether a beverage professional. It was about high tea or afternoon tea specific to the people, the community, the ingredients of each location. And it was a beautiful experience because we tasted incredible culinary styles, from the tea and empanadas in Latin America to wonderful gâteaux, to beautiful cakes in Europe, and so many others. But before I continue and before we come to the next stage, I want to introduce you first through a little video to a very particular set of finalists, a team. Now, we had, I think, almost, we had several hundred teams, almost 700 teams, 700 people that participated in the Real High Tea Challenge. But this one team, who I'm going to introduce to you via video, did a spectacular job on sustainability. They did a spectacular job on the finesse of their chocolate work, on their pastries, on their pairing with tea. So today, we are really delighted to have our 2012 Australian National Champions and our Sustainability Champions in the Global Award back to tell us a little bit more about how to host a revolutionary high tea. So today we have Silvana and Ian waiting in the wings. We're a few years older, but tea has kept us all young. Now, before I bring them on, I have a poll for you. Do you like high tea? Do you enjoy high tea? We have a few questions. Often, sometimes, rarely. Please tell us. I love it. The often outweighs the sometimes, outweighs the rarely. Thank you. So, without further ado, how to host a revolutionary high tea. Let me present our champions, Silvana and Ian.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're all cozy at home to watch us this afternoon in Australia. It's 3:30, and luckily it's sunny, even if it's on a winter day. So we're going to, Ian and I, we will present our high tea, and I will let Ian take you through the drinks, and I'll be doing the food.
Paul, since the High Tea Challenge so long ago, Silvana and I and our friends always meet every 2 months and have a high tea somewhere. And we always compare notes, and we're always very critical. So we still have a high tea every 2 months. And we always start it with a glass of sparkling. Now, today I've decided that we should use a berry infused tea. And I'm just going to make my take on a spritz. So we have here a powdered strawberry, which what I've done is just pulverised the strawberry, just dipped it in Cointreau, put a little bit of powder strawberry on the top, and I've made some berry infused berry sensation high tea, which I've let go cold. And I'm just going to put just a little bit in the bottom. You can see the colour is just beautiful. And then just a little bit of fresh fruit in there. And then the way to top a great high tea. And this is how it's going to start, with a little bit of Prosecco. Savannah?
Et voilà.
Et voilà.
Cheers.
That's
so
a way to
that's our
start.
first drink.
And delicious. I'm going to leave Savannah. I'm going to go make some tea, but Savannah's going to explain what she's done this afternoon with the food, and I'll just make some tea to go with it.
So once you have your cold beverage with your sparkling champagne, you can start with your savory item. I will recommend you to start with a cured barramundi on a caramelized potato. I have some potato chips, some prawn frost, and the fruit I use on here today, it's a blood orange, which you can easily make at home. It's very easy. And take your next savory, which is a beef slow cook in a red wine. And we got some parsley, thyme, rosemary, and it goes with mushroom. Right now in Australia, it's the best time for mushroom. So, and wrap in a puff pastry. So once you finish with your savory, you will drink a nice warm tea. To make you nice and cozy before you start your desserts. And while the tea is brewing, I will take you through the desserts that we're going to have it with today. So here we use the setup what we did for our sustainable high tea. As you can see, we got some wood stands. You don't always have to have a stand that you bought in a shop. This one, we got it in a place where the throwing woods are for burning, and we polish it and we use it for our stand. And this is a good way to keep sustainable instead of always buying new things. Also, we got our dishes, everything, all the plates are handmade with natural products and from different artists. And in this one here, we got a pulled sugar, so a blown sugar apple. And inside it, we got a crumble. And the crumble is a fennel crumble. And you will also have inside it the udawate jelly. And we also have a poached apple. And the poached apple, I actually use the chai tea, Dilma chai tea, and I make a syrup out of it. And I will put my apples in whole, and I will let it stew. And once it gets all that flavor in, you can chop it up. You can also keep it in your fridge and use it later on. You don't have to have everything done on the day. It's a good mise en place. And so that's all in that sugared apple. And also sweets we have today is a simple passion fruit tart with a passion fruit jelly. And I actually use a silicone mold to get that look on top. But if you're at home and you don't have this, you can set it in a container and you can just scoop it out and put a beautiful little quenelle on your tart. and decorate it with a little bit of crumble and some nice fresh herbs from my garden. And yes, we can use things from the garden. Again, you use a sustainable product. And also I made today some macaroon. We got a pistachio macaroon and we got a hazelnut macaroon. Fantastic for winter. And
the tea is ready.
So with Ian pouring a beautiful Earl Grey tea today.
Now it's always best, if you can, to make your tea in a nice warm pot and then keep this pot warm and then decant it. So we're just going to decant the tea straight into this pot. And that way we've stopped the brewing process and it'll be a perfect cup of tea. There we are. Look at that colour.
Yeah, beautiful colour.
Fantastic. So we'd like to take a moment just to talk about our journey with Dilmah as well. And one of the best things that we ever did with Dilmah was when they kindly got us to come over for the world title. We visited an orphanage which the Dilmah had set up. It was a fantastic day, and that's one of the most wonderful memories I have of that trip.
Yes,
apart from winning the sustainability award, but
yeah.
That was a really wonderful trip,
Yes.
and we can't wait to get back
To see the joy.
to see the joy of those children again.
Yeah.
Look, you don't need to have, as you said, cucumber sandwiches and high tea stands and things like that. You can have a high tea with just a few little things. Just make the tea properly and enjoy your high tea. Silvana.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now I'm going to show you. If you can't make a blown sugar, obviously at home, you can also just make it your desserts in a glass. So right now I'm going to use a Dilmah glass, and I'm going to pipe some cream so I can show you how to quickly make a dessert. So a little bit of chantilly. Chantilly, it's a whipped cream with a bit of sugar. You can put vanilla, or you can put different flavors in it, like a crushed powdered strawberry if you want to. And I'm going to use that nice apple that I actually remember in the Udawade tea. And some of the jelly can go in. So you got different texture here. You got a soft jelly, and you got some crunch with your crumble, and a very cold chantilly. And that crumble have a little bit of fennel, and fennel goes beautifully with apple. And here you go, you got a dessert. Voila. And if you have some fresh herbs at home, you can even put a bit of green on it. So I got here some, what is this one called again? Some
Lemon thyme.
Lemon balm, yeah. When Blaine just said, okay, so you can put a little bit of green as well. And everyone loves to have a bit of color. And ready to eat.
I think it's one thing to say, and that's cheers.
Oh, yes. Beautiful tea. Time for a cup.
And cheers to
Cheers to you all.
That was brilliant. You know, what I particularly love when we talk about double the deliciousness, it's incredible. I mean, I remember our presiding judge, Bernd Huber, talking about your chocolate work as being almost poetic. Now, I have to mention who Bernd is. Bernd is the presiding judge of the Real High Tea Challenge. So he, together with Chef Peter Kurvita and I, we judged this wonderful team, and they were as spectacular then as they are now, possibly even better now. So they've progressed, but thank you for that. And you know what makes the deliciousness, really, when I talk about double the deliciousness, there's two levels at which I mean that. One is, of course, the sensory level. And whilst the tea dignifies the food, brings out its textures, brings out its whether it's the creaminess or whether it's the roasted notes in the chocolate or whichever it is that you want to highlight. Tea has that incredible ability, but it also helps the body process the sugars. It helps the body manage the fats through its emulsifying aspect. So tea, with its incredible and unique antioxidant potential, is a fantastic pair, a complement to double the deliciousness in any meal. So thank you for sharing all of that. Now I'm going to show you a few of the teas. So the teas that were used, first of all, this chai. Now what chai is, I think most of you do know what it is, but I'm going to explain for those that don't. It's a tradition. It was a method of delivering medicine in ancient India and Sri Lanka. We have a 3,000-year history of Ayurveda. And so in this, you have ginger, you have cinnamon, you have cloves, cardamom, and so on. And all of those are uniquely beneficial from different health perspectives, whether it is for dementia, for sometimes also for against stress. Of course, tea is good against stress. And it combines with the tea, again in balance. So this is not, of course, you have a lot of instant chais, it's powdered, it's maybe it's quick to produce, but ours, we focus on the authenticity. Incredible aroma, because whenever you produce a chai, you've got to respect the specific ingredients. It's as much as complex as composing a tea-inspired afternoon tea, because here each ingredient has to shine in balance and produce a harmonious and delicious outcome. So, and we've got our Vatta teas, my father's favorite. So the Vatta tea that Silvana referred to is a Madhavatta. And Bern's favorite, I think, is the Ranvatta, which is the lightest at the highest elevation. Udavatta at around 4,000 feet, also Ranvatta at 6,000. And this comes from around the Navalapitiya region. It has certain intensity. It has some earthiness, some fruit notes, and so on. Beautiful. But the point about all of these teas, when you look at berry sensation, relatively lighter, brighter on the nose. Of course, it's got it's like a walk through a forest orchard. The point about all of these is when you're pairing with different foods, you need to maintain the simple rule that a Madhavatta, with its intensity, with its earthiness, with its body, will go with food that has equivalent characteristics. So this will certainly not go with a salad drizzled with olive oil and with citrus, because there would be a conflict. But you do get, I mean, again, taste is subjective. So you can produce a contrasting pair, which I know many did. And I'm sure our colleagues, many of the finalists produced contrasting pairs. And one really interesting one is, typically this tea, the Madhavatta, is fantastic with chocolate and chocolate cake and the richness, the roasted chocolate notes and so on. But one of my colleagues on the School of Tea, Edwin Soon, once said, look, try this chocolate with a Nuerelia Peco. So Nuerelia, light, bright, grassy, vegetal, but also very, very extremely bright. Could not be, right? Because you have this light tea with this very strong or dark chocolate. But it was beautiful, particularly with chocolate cake. And what it did was it highlighted the chocolate. Of course, it diminished the tea, but then on the second sip, the tea comes to the fore, cleanses your palate. So beautiful combination. So yeah, we're telling you the rules, but the rules don't always apply. But it's up to you to define those. So with that, I want to thank you guys, our champions, for returning, talking to us, sharing your enthusiasm. Bernd made a comment saying he would love to see you again. So once the travel bubble between Australia and New Zealand is reestablished, I hope that's going to be a reality. But fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time. I'm going to move on to just sharing the menu. So this is the Revolutionary High Tea menu. And thank you to all who are joining us on Facebook and on other platforms. We've got about 150 people here, Silvana and Ian. So clearly they're all enjoying what you've posted, but we'll have more because we're also posting the recording for people who aren't able to join due to the time difference. So this will all be available at the Tea Club. And for the next, yes, the medals. So this is the first session of the third stage. And we will check out some of those people who mentioned that you haven't got your medals. We'll sort that out. So we have our School of Tea recommend space on the Dilmah online shop. So any of the products you see here, if any of you can't get it in your country, that's the best option to get it locally. If not, check us out at shop.dilmahtea.com and see the section School of Tea recommends. Now we have a poll. What drinks would you serve for high tea at home? We want to know whether you're interested, whether you would experiment with more teas, one tea, herbs, or whether you're a coffee person. Please don't say coffee, because that would really break my heart. I'm glad. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's a few coffees in there, but excellent. Herb and iced teas. Great. That's excellent. Brilliant. So herb and iced teas wins with 57%. Thanks, Naomi. And those were the results. Not too many tea and coffees. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. I hope that's really what you do. We will be watching. So with that, actually, we have one more poll because I went out of sequence. So we want to know, do you like the menu? Is it too complicated? Is it something you would try at home? Please tell us. Brilliant. Silvana and Ian, you have done all of us proud. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on this virtual session. Thank you for staying on. We went over time, but I appreciate that you spent some time with us. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening from all of us. Thank you, Silvana. Thank you, Ian. That was brilliant.